area code 513. Your ass is gonna have to hold on. Peace, man. Tobin, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, King. Thank you for answering my DM. Thank you for calling in. You know when you have the time. So I appreciate it. How's everything going?
Absolutely. Everything's going good. You know, we had a lot of fires up here in California, and now that, thank goodness, for the firefighters are able to kind of get their arms around things and circle it. So the containment is going up. So I'm happy that folks are able to move back in or get back into the area where all the fires were. So a lot of folks are safe.
Oh, all right, man. That's salute and thank God for that. Now, everybody, y'all know this is an exclusive right here, so please show some love. Get those likes up. You like to donate to the platform, please do. But with no further ado, Tobin, can you please let the people know your background and your relationship at one moment of time with Master P and No Limit?
Yeah, so my name is Tobin T.C. Costen. My background is in the entertainment industry, working for No Limit Records as executive vice president and personal business manager for Percy Miller, known as Master P. So I worked for the organization for 3 years, and then went off on my own in my own label, Me and My Entertainment, where I worked with the likes of King George, and a lot of people know Little Troy. With the hit single "Wanna Be a Baller," I was behind that record, working with Shortstop Records as a distributor and marketer for that album.
Now, at one point in time, when Master P was basically doing his thing and trying to make his bones in the music industry, he was making some noise, but he really didn't blossom the way it's supposed to. But when you came into the game, because he was searching for, advice or like some kind of mentors to school him on the business side of things, as far as marketing strategies and so forth and so on. So when you came into the picture, things progressed. Am I correct? Explain to that
Yeah,
point.
I would say they would, and I would say it's not just because of me. I think a lot of it had to do with our relationship with E40's uncle, St. Charles. An individual who really understood distribution and how to get in front of people and how to make sure that our orders would kind of go up. I think what I added to as far as value to the organization and to No Limit was just putting together strategy and organizing what we were doing. Master P had to drive, and that's no doubt. I mean, Master P is the hardest working person you will ever meet. He will work nonstop and relentlessly, and he's tireless when it comes to getting projects together, coming up with ways to get out to the world. He will never stop, no matter what he's doing. I mean, now he's doing pancakes and rice and chips and all that stuff, and he's doing clothes and shoes. He is relentless with his work ethic.
Right.
But I think, what I was able to do and able to assist was being able to figure out how do we make our albums tell a story? How do we get to more people? How are we organized and come across in a professional manner? I think that's what I help with. So I would think that I learned a lot from him. He learned things from me. We both learned a lot from St. Charles. He is the individual who really taught us how to run a record company, how to get our distribution numbers up, how do we get our albums out to the retail stores, and based on that is when things kind of blew up and kind of blossomed. So we went with first, if you talk about the record that really kind of blew us up, was The Ghetto's Trying to Kill Me. And
Right.
We had an individual, there was a young cat that was going around robbing people, and he told the world that Master P's 211 is what really got him to do these robberies. And once he did that, the whole world started buying that album, The Ghetto's Trying to Kill Me, and it kind of blew up from there.
Okay. Now, we pretty much know the success. You was mentioned in the No Limit Chronicles documentary that just came out. What a great documentary, I may add. Now we know certain things on your influence and your help in the strategizing and distributing and marketing and strategizing and things in that nature. Now, what do you feel like you get the credit you deserve for your input? Do you think you was even compensated or you got your fair share due to the great success while you came to be partners with Percy Miller and the No Limit record label?
Well, I mean, I would say that do I get the do I get the accolades for what I did? Probably not. I mean, I think some people who know the story and know the transition from Master P putting out 16, 17 projects that didn't have a lot of volume going out as far as a lot of record sales to our time coming together and working with St. Charles, there was a significant amount of success. And part of that was the priority deal and signing that and Master P, there was a time Master P wanted to sign an artist deal to kind of sacrifice himself for the greater good of No Limit. And I was influential in making sure that we held out and we didn't do that. And I think sometimes people, for whatever reason, people don't want to believe that, the value that I added to the company and the value that I added to his career, like it wasn't significant. And that's okay, because there are going to be some people that are going to say, oh, well, P did all of this on his own. Some people are going to say, oh, Tobin was influential. Like, it just depends on what side of the fence you're on. But for me, I know it. I know what I did, and I know what I was capable of doing. And I know the value that I added to him, the value that I added putting out King George albums, and even working with Lil Troy. Like, when you know that, you don't necessarily need someone else to say, oh, well, Tobin, you did this or you didn't do that. I think from a financial standpoint, it's documented that there is money that was owed to me and, that there were bills that were created that I didn't get compensated for, that I had to take care of on my own. Now, you'll get some people who say, oh, well, TC is not being accurate or he's not telling the truth, he wasn't owed. Well, the facts are the facts. I've always said I'll sit anywhere and take a lie detector test at any time because I know I'm telling the truth. I know I will never get that money. I know that it is what it is at this point. It has been so many years, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I'm not in a situation like other artists that are still trying to perform concerts and they're still trying to peddle CDs and cassettes and vinyl and all that. I'm not in that situation. I don't really care about that because I'm not selling records. That I'm retired from the game. What I do have a beverage business and I'm working that, and I also do I do promotion and I'm a professor. I'm a college professor, so that's what I do for a living. So for me, I'm not out there trying to make a name for myself selling records or anything like that because I'm retired from the game and I've made a good living from that, and I'm okay with that. What I did, when people, whether it's Master P or anybody who's saying, that I did something I didn't do, like try to break up the group or I was this mastermind trying to take over the company.
Right.
That's not true. So for me, I'm only talking about what pertains to me. I can't speak on other people's situation financially and what they got and what they didn't get. I can only say that yes, there's money that was owed. Yeah.
Was it owed?
I'm never going to get that money.
Was it owed to a lot of people as well? Did he just like you don't have to get too deep into other people's situation because we dealing with you, but like even like what you call that, the Beats by the Pound or other people, like we all know because we heard it, but people was dissatisfied with their share of their money. Like,
I mean, I can't really speak on that because by the time, when KLC came on board or Moby Dick came on board, we were running the operation like a family, and there was money in the pot trying to just get things done. Like, I can't speak on, I heard rumblings and folks tell me that there was money owed. I don't know. I can't speak on it. So for me, could they be owed? Yes. Is there a possibility that's true? Yes. I only know from my perspective and from my situation that I know that there is money owed because there's a quantifiable number based on, there was some debt that was created that I was responsible for that really was a no limit master fee bill that I had to take care of. So did Beats by the Pound get compensated? I mean, I don't know. If they're saying they didn't, they probably didn't. I mean, those guys don't have any reason to lie about their situation. Like, nobody does. If you didn't get compensated, you just say you didn't get compensated. Like, I never really said anything about it. When people who knew the situation, I was just honest with them. And I think the reason why, when you have people going on national TV saying the manager is the reason why King George and Master P broke up, and there was all these things that happened, that I was taking money that I never received, then that's when I have these conversations with folks like you and talk through and just be honest. So I can't say for sure if the situation with other artists who have complained that them not getting paid, because I wasn't there. I can only talk about my situation because that's just the fact and all I can say in my situation.
Now,
but I don't know, but I think half the people will say, no, P doesn't know anybody because that's the line that he states. But then again, some people will say that, he owes. It's hard to say whatever. Different people's situations are completely different.
Now, what I'm going to do, because it's going to do that countdown, I'm going to have to reset the phone call. I'm not trying to hold you, too long. But there's probably a couple of more questions, and that'll be all. I'm gonna have to reset it because in 1 minute it's gonna doing a countdown. So can I call you right back at this number in the next less than 5 minutes, sir?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna call you right back. Thank you very much.
All right.
Peace. Peace.
Later.
All right, everybody. See, that's exclusive right there. I gotta call him back because there's 2 minutes left, and I don't want that interruption with that 90 seconds. It is mad loud. It's very irritating. So I want to restart it and call him right back.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
So everybody, if you're enjoying yourself, please hit those ones. That's exclusive, family. Show some love, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Please donate to the platform. Y'all don't know how much it took just to get the man on here. That stuff ain't easy trying to get people to come on your show, family. I tell you that right now. For those who probably do the same thing I'm doing, they will literally agree with me at this moment. But definitely show some love if you can. Please get those likes up. I will gladly appreciate that. I have some questions. I don't know if you... Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Let me ask him. Okay. But, yeah, man. Oh, I hate that shit. Ooh, that shit be hitting. Yeah, so, yeah, man. Let's wait.
Start your show now. Press 1 to hear important instructions.
Your show is scheduled to start in 33 seconds.
I love this beat, yo. I'm waiting for this countdown. I'm gonna call him right back. Only on all Viber access, baby.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3,
Yo, that
2,
shit hurt.
1. Blog Talk Radio.
All right. Dial his number right now. He's a college professor, man. Salute to that man. All right, let's get it. All right.
Hello, this is Tobin.
Yes, sir. Be back at it.
Okay, cool.
All right, and so you a college professor right now too. So that's really dope, man. How long you been doing that?
I've been teaching college for 13 years.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah,
what's up.
so I'm over at Holy Names University in Oakland, California, small Catholic private school in the Oakland Hills.
That's dope. That's dope. Hey man, that's definitely love. And towards the end, we definitely, like I told you, we're gonna talk about, you know, the dangers of what not to do. You know, basically, you know, as far as the entertainment, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so now from my recollection, when you was dealing with him, and like a lot of the stuff was put in your name, right? Because you had the credit. Am I correct? Or
Correct.
all right, and
That's correct.
can you elaborate on that, if you will?
Well, I mean, there was just certain things that we took care of. I mean, there was, you know, American Express card. There was, you know, cars. There were apartments. There were all kinds of things like that that were in my name that were set up. And those things that you do for, you know, because you're expecting, you know, to be a part of something special. So Master P created No Limit Records. There's no doubt about that. This is his company, and he created it. But asking me to be a part of it and to do things like get credit set up, get apartments for folks, paying for things like mastering and all of those things that I did, because we were moving forward, right? Moving forward into the right direction. Now, at the end of the day, I did my part. I did my part to help. I did my part to put, you know, the company down the right path. And unfortunately, I didn't get compensated for that. And sometimes that just happens. That's part of a bitter pill that people need to swallow. At this, you know, some people ask me, like, well, are you mad about it? I'm like, well, at the time I was furious about it. But at this point now, I'm not. Because I'm not angry about it. I'm living in California. I'm teaching college. I'm enjoying my life. I have no stress, you know, other than the day-to-day what everybody else has, right? So for me, it's just been a situation where it's kind of, it is what it is. It's water under the bridge.
Right.
And, you know, I'm just focused on continuing my life and enjoying it the best way we can.
Time heals all wounds at some point in time. Now,
Absolutely.
Now, was there a verbal agreement, a verbal contract, or there was a black and white contract? Because
we had a written agreement. We had a written agreement based on record sales and the success of the company. And the thing is, and I will tell you, whether you have an agreement or not, it doesn't matter, because if someone doesn't intend to pay you, they'll figure out a way not to pay you. Especially when you're talking about from a financial standpoint. And I met with several different attorneys, and it was more of,
they were scared of
him.
him.
A lot of money. It would cost. Well, there was that. There's folks that are scared of them, but there's also folks that are like, well, look, it's going to take years for you to get anything, and by the time you get something, you're going to be spending a significant amount of dollars. Now, at that point in time, probably would I have probably pursued it a little bit differently or done some things different? Absolutely. But at that particular point, it was just time to move on and roll up my sleeves and get to work. I had to put an album together. I had to take care of a family. I had to make sure that, you know, King George and I at the time were working together. He wasn't in love with me. You know, he'd rather be with P, but the way that things came out, it came out. So at that point, King George and I needed each other. We were like in a boat, and the water was taking on water, and we just had to paddle in order to move forward.
Right.
And we were fortunate enough to sell a lot of records and make a good living and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, what was owed. And I just had to take care of things how I took care of things. You know, we sell records, pay bills. Sell records, pay bills. And I was fortunate enough to be able to own a home and be able to put out a lot of successful records. And what most people would say is like, well, King George and TC didn't have the success P did. No, not at all. But I would tell you, we sold a lot of records and we hit Billboard charts and we made a significant amount of money, and we were able to do some things. Not at the level of No Limit Records, because No Limit Records had a wonderful distribution deal, but we were able to sell quite a bit of records and get into the retail stores and do shows and perform and do all of those things. And that's just really what it's all about.
Absolutely. You was there when he did 23 albums in 1 year. You was there at that time, right? You was there at the time when Snoop
No,
was.
so we
okay.
we was at the we had split up prior to that. So the whole concept of doing those albums, this was a combination of, you know, T's idea, my idea, and also St. Charles. The more albums that you have in your pipeline, the more money you can generate. If you generate money, now you may have some artists frustrated because, you know, their album may only have sold 100,000 copies. But if you've sold a multiple of 20, 30, 50, 100 million records, all that money goes into the label, and that goes into the owners of the business. So putting out that many albums just made sense for generating enough money that we could make big moves. So him and I split, and King George as well, we split right before the Ice Cream Man album came out.
Oh,
so
wow.
We worked on the Ice Cream Man. We worked on the Ice Cream Man album. We did the 99 Ways. We did the Down South Hustlers. We did the True album. And at that time, we also did Mia X's album. So we were working on all these albums at the same time. But when we split, it was right before the Ice Cream Man album came out. So the Ice Cream Man album was done, and then after we split, he did a couple more records after that, put those on the album, and then released it. So I was not there when he did the 22 or 23 albums in a year.
All right, I got a couple more questions, and that's it. Now, what was the final straw which y'all breaking up? Because from what I heard you say, that he thought you was trying to take one of his artists and basically create your own label, and he tried to have somebody that's close to you basically put hands on you, if you will. Explain about that.
Well, yeah. So what happened was, so basically the split happened because someone who's no longer with us had been left in New Orleans and was really furious about that. He wanted to leave the group or leave the label. Now, what I did was, and I probably, you know, looking back on it, I should have did it differently, is just told people what's up. I had just said to this individual, well, you know, I don't want you to leave, but if you decide to leave, I'll support you and I'll help you. I mean, that's just, to me, is like a normal thing to do with anybody. So T's thought process behind that was, I was trying to take over No Limit Records. I was trying to take it from him and do like some sort of takeover. And it wasn't the case. Like, I was working on publishing deals and different things like that, and sometimes he would say, well, you know, you need to come through me for these publishing deals. And I'm like, well, this management piece has nothing to do with what we're doing. But, you know, if I make $1, you're going to get a piece of it either way. Right. Well, long story boring. You know, he had a conversation with this artist he was frustrated with, who was frustrated with him. And this artist was like, oh, well, Tobin's going to get me a deal, and Tobin's trying to do all these things. But P never had a conversation with me about it. It turned into animosity. So what happened, he had told King George to either put hands on me, he needed to put hands on me, because if he didn't, that means everything that Ed told him was the truth. Right. Well, King George didn't want to put hands on me, not out of any loyalty or anything. He was like, well, he didn't do anything. So why would you think I would put hands on somebody who never did anything? So that was the straw that P was like, oh, you must be doing something with King George, and King must be doing something with TC, because King won't beat him up. Now think about how that sounds. King had been in the pen. He went to the penitentiary in Huntsville. He didn't want to go back to jail over something that was nothing, and that's really was the dynamic. P at no time had a conversation with me. He never had a conversation with King. It was all because, hey, if you don't break Tobin's jaw, if you don't beat Tobin up, that means that Tobin's trying to take over the company and take all the artists. And it just wasn't true. So for whatever reason, he didn't want to believe me. He didn't want to believe King, and he made his decision. So we were ostracized from the company after that, and it's well documented, and I've stated, P and I never had an argument prior to that point, ever. There was never any sort of animosity, disagreement. We had a good relationship. So that's why it was so kind of surprising when it all kind of went down like that. It was like, okay, well, what? And, and he kept saying, I want my company back. I want my company back. And, my conversation with him was like, what are you talking about? We're doing this thing together. What do you mean? So he made his decision, and obviously it benefited him short term because he was able to, generate a lot of money for himself.
And he still didn't pay you that money. And he still didn't pay you that money after that success.
He never did. He never paid me. And like I told you before, I'm not holding my breath for it. I don't really care. It is what it is. But, he never did. He never compensated me. He never took care of, and there were some folks that, he had told, I'm going to straighten things out with TC, but it never came to fruition.
Right. Now, like on a, like the country club mansions and all that stuff, like, when C Murder had his mansion out there and that country club, and the rest of them had their mansions. Snoop had one out there and all that. All that stuff was under your name, was it?
No, none of that. By that time we had split, so I don't know what the scenario was with that. The only thing I did know that he bought those houses and put everybody in that area. And there was animosity because it was where the governor lived. And, they, for whatever reason, the governor wasn't happy, and the folks that were in that neighborhood were not happy that all the folks from No Limit moved into that area.
Right.
So none of those houses or any of that were in my name. By that time, him and I, we had split.
Now, all right, only 3 questions left, and they very short. Now, everybody done talked about, all right, I'm just gonna say it. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. But have you heard the rumblings, far as publishing and royalties is concerned? Now, a lot of people have said, and like when they ask him those questions, like I remember it was a conversation they asked P about that, and he just got pissed and just walked off because he didn't want to talk about, the publishing and giving the people they publishing and their royalties for the albums that they put out. Is there any truth to, like, and he's an entrepreneur, one of the greatest to ever follow, to want to mimic his grind. But is it true that he, like a lot of his artists, he holding their royalties in publishing? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I can't really say on that. One thing I will say, all of those albums on No Limit, he does not own the rights to them. So I don't know if he's really holding publishing.
Yo, I heard something.
He doesn't own the rights to the music.
I heard something about that. Yo.
Yeah.
It don't make sense.
And that's something that you can look up publicly. Beats by the Pound owns all the music, and mainly KLC. So KLC basically, Beats by the Pound, KLC owns the music, and Universal owns the rights. So it's between KLC, Beats by the Pound, and Universal, who owns the rights to all that old music. And I shouldn't say old music, but all the classic music.
Classic.
So he doesn't own the rights to that. So I mean, I can't really say artists aren't getting their publishing or artists aren't getting their rights because he's not holding that because he doesn't own the rights.
He's gonna own it. Great freaking answer. Yeah. Yo, can I ask you a question, man? Do you have?
Sure.
Do you have KLC? No, is there any way I could get? You know what I mean? Like to get a little conversation.
I have KLC's number. I think the best way is try to get out. I mean, and I don't know, KLC doesn't do a lot of interviews, so there's a possibility that he would interview with you. I do not know. I have not talked to KLC in a long time. We did, there was like a video chat that they were on, and we said what's up to each other, but I have not talked to KLC in years. probably 20 years, if that. So I don't know if KLC would do an interview. It's hard to say. I think he's a legendary producer.
Yeah.
He does good work, good music. He's a good man, and I think he's doing what he needs to do to take care of himself and his family. So I can't speak on what KLC if he would do an interview with you or not.
Okay. Now, do you like this? We was talking about C Murder. Now, do you know? I'm not trying to dig for anything or be too nosy, but while you was around, did you see anything like kind of whatever out of place, or what was the good or the bad, if you will, between the relationship between Percy and Corey?
Well, I mean, they're brothers. They love each other, and I think one thing about C kind of did his own thing. He would be back and forth between California and Louisiana. He was all about, grinding and making his own money and making his own way. But I never, other than brotherly, kind of back and forth, those guys love each other. I know now there's something going on, and, it's probably difficult. I can't really speak on it because, I haven't been around C or P in over two decades.
Wow.
All I know is when I was there, they were tight. They were brothers. Did they have moments when they're probably frustrated with each other because they both were alpha males and they have their own vision? Yeah. But I think that, I think people are so busy caught up with their relationship. I'm hoping, C Murder gets out, and when C Murder gets out, E and P kind of talk it out or work out whatever their differences are. I don't know if they will or won't. But I can't really speak on, I can only say what the relationship that I saw they had was brotherly love and would do anything for each other. Now, C's been in jail a long time, been in prison a long time, so there's probably some frustrating things going on there. P is P. P makes his own decisions. He does what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. So it's hard to say how those two would be, but I know there's some things that you see online now with some frustrations from both guys, but it's hard to say, man. Like I don't like to speak on them because I don't know their relationship because,
right.
Like I said, I haven't seen those guys in over 2 decades, either one of them.
Is there anything that you may never had? One thing that we don't know about the No Limit or Master P, whether good or bad. So I don't want to make everything negative. What is something that's probably not public that you may know that could be a good look for, for Master P or No Limit? Like, is there anything that we just don't know? Good or bad, but it all depends.
It's hard to say. There's a lot of things about Master P, man. Master P is like a politician. Like, he gets in front of people and he gets people to believe in him. That's who he is. That's the characteristic he has. He's able to touch people significantly. There are people online who love him, who've never met him, and if you talk to him online, you would swear that they had a relationship and they were like family, or P gave the shirt off his back to them and they've never met him or interacted with them. And that's a skill that P has. He has a ability to outwork anybody on the planet because you're not going to outwork him. And he has this ability to get you to believe in him and his focus and his goal. So I said that's real positive because that's just who he is. Like anything, there's ebbs and flows to this business. There's decisions that people make. Some of them are good, some of them aren't good. But I think overall, you can't knock Master P's work ethic. And it's unrivaled. I don't care, obviously, P and I have our differences, but I will never, ever knock him for him wanting to get to the next level and him wanting to do whatever it takes to generate money for himself and for his family. And I think that's the positive thing. I think for me on my side, you get folks who don't want to believe me, like I'm going to make something up. And P is known as being somebody who wasn't necessarily on the up and up, going back to his hustling days. So he's a person who's not necessarily been on the up and up, but people don't believe that he would do something to benefit himself and not necessarily benefit other people. You know, Master P is about, you know, if your last name is Miller, you're at the top of the list. Whether it's Silk, whether it's Romeo, whether it's P or any of his kids, if your last name's Miller, he's going to do whatever he can to take care of you. If your last name's not Miller, you might go to the back burner. And that's kind of, you know, natural with a lot of people. You know, folks in your family, you know, if they got your same last name, you're going to take care of them maybe probably before anybody else. And that's just the way it is.
All right, man. Now, if anybody have a question, just put it in there. But what, like, far as the business, I know you're no longer in the business. What are some tips that you would like to give the people if they trying to get into the business? What give the people the pros and the cons, far as this entertainment business is so for song.
Well, I think the biggest thing people need to realize, understand your contract and make sure you have a good contract. Make sure it's notarized. Make sure that you have someone like an attorney that really understands the legal aspect of it to go over your agreement. I think one of the things you have to understand, if someone doesn't want to pay you, they're not going to pay you. Now, you could fight and scratch, and maybe you get your money, maybe you don't, but if they don't want to pay you, they're not going to. I think the biggest thing you could do is understand the percentages on any deal that you have. So if you're an artist and you're trying to do an artist deal, make sure your percentage is right. Make sure that you fight for the ownership of your music, and make sure that at the end of the day, you understand from a marketing perspective, what is the company going to do and how they're going to put money behind you to market you. And if you don't understand that, you're going to probably get taken advantage of. And it doesn't matter, you know, what, because even the most famous people in this industry who've generated a lot of money have been taken advantage of. That's just the gig. So I would say the pros are, if you want to develop as a human being and get your music out to the world, there's an opportunity for you to do that. Especially nowadays, you can do that on your own. If you get on one of the platforms, you can promote your album and promote yourself, but you got to be willing to do the work. And what happens is a lot of times people aren't willing to do the work, you know, and that's the dynamic. People aren't willing to do the work. So if you're willing to do the work, you understand your contract, you understand from a marketing perspective what needs to take place to put you on the level that you want to be at, you can be successful. Go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good, family. Is it better to have your own attorney than the record label attorney? Because, you know, they cool, you know what I mean? They purposely overlook certain things inside the contract. So is it best to have your own lawyer to come look over your contract, or a applied attorney? I know that's self-explanatory, but I
would. Well, the bottom line is you want someone who's going to be on your side, that's going to look out for you. So if you have, like, there's a lot of different attorneys in this world, you need to get yourself an entertainment lawyer that understands entertainment contracts. And if you don't have the money to do that, you need to figure out a way that, based on what the agreement says, that you can provide somebody with some sort of deposit or retainer to at least have them look over the agreement. Or ask them, if you have an agreement on the table, ask an entertainment attorney, what would they charge you in order to look at this agreement? Because if you don't, they're going to tell you the pros and cons. And
right.
And in this situation, all you want is I want an agreement review. How much are you going to charge me to do an agreement review? So they would review the agreement and tell you the pros and cons of the agreement. Now, you might be able to have a manager, or you might be able to negotiate and say, hey, I'm looking for this many points on the album. I'm looking to own my publishing, or my half of the publishing, my written part of it. If you're a writer, if you're a music producer, the music portion of it, you want to own that. Right. So you might, depending on the situation, a lot of labels now are doing 360 deals. And for those folks who don't understand 360 deals, that means whatever they do to generate money, whether it's you're an actor or you or your merchandise or music or anything that you do that generates money as you as an entity, the record label gets a piece of that. And you need to make sure that if they're going to do that, get the most money you can get up front. If you can get that, that's important. Get the advance money so you can utilize that to your benefit. So you can put some money in your pocket, you can pay your taxes, you can make sure that you can put yourself together your own marketing plan for yourself and what that looks like, and roll up your sleeves and go to work. And that's really the key. But if you've got a deal on the table or somebody's trying to give you a deal, I would get your own attorney and just ask for someone to do an agreement review where they will read through the agreement. You pay them X amount of dollars as a retainer or a deposit, and they will tell you specifically what's in the agreement, what the pitfalls are, and then you sign accordingly based on that.
Hey man, that was well said. And somebody put in there, you should do classes on that. You know what I mean? You should do some like webinars. You know what I'm saying on that, and a lot of artists will enjoy that, because it's like seeing a sucker from afar. Everybody wants a sucker. Like in the entertainment business, they look for people who just don't know. They look for the people who's easily to manipulate contractual wise and stuff like that. So it's always good to have that whistleblower to be like, hey, this is what you should ask for. At the end of the day, how everything turns out is on you, but this is what you need to look out for. So I think that'll be good, man. So is there anything else you would like to share? If not, man, it's always been a pleasure. Is there anything else you want to say and promote? Whatever it is, go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, so right now I've got my own YouTube channel, the Costen and Hammer Network. I've got that, one of my former students, raising money for the Special Olympics, because that's really what I'm focused on now.
Okay.
Number one thing is really the Special Olympics. So if you get a chance to check it out, the Costen, Costen, and Hammer, just like spelled like it sounds, the Costen and Hammer Network, known as the CHN. And I just really, if people can check it out, we're raising money for the Special Olympics. I don't know if you know anyone who's in a situation that they've been in the Special Olympics or they have any challenges. It is a great organization. It's so wonderful. It gives people opportunities to compete and do their best. And when you see these folks that are competing and they're excited and they get an opportunity to do something special, it is incredible. So if you get an opportunity, if you can't do something for the Special Olympics with what I'm doing, just look for an opportunity to give back in your community, man. Anything that you can do. There's so many folks that need assistance and they need help. There's also another organization called All Tied Up. A friend of mine has that here, Armand Carr in the Bay Area, All Tied Up. He's really doing his part to kind of help the young folks, especially young men, put themselves on the right path. So if you can give back to the community, either All Tied Up or give back to the Special Olympics, man, that's all I would ask for anybody that's listening on your show. And I appreciate your time and giving me the opportunity to chat about that.
No problem. And one more thing, because I'll be stupid to not ask this question, far as being your own boss and being independent, because you just said about far as signing a contract. What about independent? What is the pros and cons for being independent? And that's my final question.
Yeah, so the pro of being independent, you own your own music, you own your own label, you make your own decisions, and you're able to, and the great thing about being independent, if you have success independently, when it's time to sign a deal for distribution or marketing, you're in the driver's seat. So if, let's say, for example, you had 100,000 downloads on your album on iTunes, if someone wants to do a deal for you and says, hey, we can expand your distribution digitally, we can do vinyl, we can do all those things, you can ask for money up front, you can ask for all kinds of things, and you're going to get a higher percentage. The con of it is you got to put your own money in this thing to make it work. Because if you don't have funds to promote yourself, and you're not going to invest in yourself, that's the con. Because that's the difficulty of trying to get yourself out there. I tell I have a variety of companies that call me and they ask for my opinion, and I give them my opinion. If the more you can do on your own as an independent label or independent record company or independent artist, the better you're going to be. You're going to be in the driver's seat for negotiation. If you don't have a lot of downloads and you're just trying to get a deal and you're just trying to get grand up front or 50
Right.
grand up front, and you're saying, hey, the record company is going to do everything, you're not in the driver's seat, and you're probably not going to be happy with what you're doing and how you're doing it. So if you can be independent, that should be the direction you go. Get as many downloads as possible. Make sure you're remixing your music. So I would say to anybody who's an artist, remix your music. Make sure it's mastered. Make sure that you've got a sound that people will want to listen to, and get those downloads. The more downloads and the views that you have on your video, the more you're in the driver's seat, the more you're going to be able to negotiate a better deal for yourself.
There it is, everybody. You got your answer. Hey, man, Tobin, it was a pleasure, brother. Be safe out there. Continue to do that great work, man. I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You be safe. Keep doing the great show and the interviews, the music, everything you're doing. It's fabulous. I'm just happy to be a part of the show.
Thank you,
enjoy
man.
yourself. Be safe and have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right.
See, that was dope, man.
Before you leave, make sure you hit that like button, that share button, and definitely subscribe. Alright? This is All Viral Access Media, okay? And I'm out this motherfucker. Peace.